Hi, everybody. Welcome in. This is another episode of Inline Sports. Haven't been with you in a while. Super excited to be back. I've got a college football playoff reaction show. Going to get a little excited. We're going to look at some upcoming matchups, especially Tennessee, Georgia, biggest matchup of the week. And I'm going to give you my college football playoff top 12, top 13, excuse me, since that's what we're doing. Very interesting show released on Tuesday night, last night. Um, I don't understand what the committee is doing. Essentially, you have got no structure, no basis. You've abandoned any kind of basis for how you're selecting these teams. You've got so much change, especially in the at-large bid department from last week to this week with no noticeable change. I don't understand where the thought process is between having some of these teams where they're ranked, especially with how you said you were going to rank them head to head matchup, coupled with strength of schedule, good wins, and good losses. Have you noticed that? I've noticed that. My biggest takeaway from this entire playoff ranking so far is that the committee values a good loss over a good win. If you're a team, let's take Penn State, for example. Penn State has one loss this year, and it is to number two Ohio State. Respectable loss. I give you that. You lost to them at home. Your best win outside of that isn't in the top 25. They were at the time, but they're not now. They've gotten beat by everybody. Illinois is their best win. A team whose best win is the University of Illinois. The only good team they've played they lost to is number four. How? How do you take Texas too? You want to say I'm SEC biased? I'm not. Texas? Their best win is Vandy? Now, I know Vandy, respectable team this year. What Diego Pavia's been doing, Clark Lee's done a fantastic job. I am I'm from Tennessee, so seeing Vandy succeed, I don't have a problem with that as long as you lose to us, which they probably will. But Texas is number three. And if you say, well, that's them projecting that they're going to win the SEC and that they'll get that conference, but you put the ACC champ at nine. You did it last week too. BYU was at nine. What's the criteria? Because to me, the only thing the criteria look like is how much money will we make if team A is in the playoff versus team B? Because they have a bigger brand at team A. So let's bump them up and let's piss off this fan base so that we get clicks. And you have current sitting academia for these for schools in the race. I mean, some not in the race, but there's a lot of bias showing right now. A lot. And you have two options for why this playoff ranking looks so strange. You're crooked or you're an idiot. Let me walk you through this scenario here. Number 7, Tennessee. This is going to be a little bit of a homer talking, a little bit, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, to start this off, last week, Tennessee 7, Indiana 8, BYU 9. Me personally, I would have been just fine if you'd have put Indiana, Penn State, or excuse me, BYU, Indiana, Tennessee. Say they're undefeated, they deserve to be higher. You tell me that, I can live with it. May not love it, but I can live with it. Because you know what? You're right. They have that zero next to the name. We got a one. But now Tennessee stays at seven, gets leapfrogged by BYU and Indiana. For checks notes, let me check this real quick. Beating Michigan and Utah by a combined 6 points from both teams. That was the impressive win that Ward Manuel, what a moron. Ward Manuel decided, yeah, now's the week to jump for Indiana and BYU to jump Tennessee because they beat Michigan and Utah. BYU, if you'd have put them ahead of us last week, fine by me. I like what they're doing out there, rooting for them. I am. I am super excited for BYU. BYU fans, great win in the Holy War. You got a little lucky, but I'll digress. Indiana, I love what you're doing too. I love your head coach saying, look me up, I win. I love it. I really do. Your quarterback, Rourke, doing a great job. Uh, his name starts with a Z, but he calls himself the BYU quarterback. I like him. I really do. You've got a good team. Indiana played their first team in the top 50. Michigan. And you beat them 20-15. Michigan can't throw the ball, and they tried against you. Maybe that's a credit to your run defense. When you have this little consistency, one more thing before I get to that. If you're going to put Indiana and BYU above Tennessee, why are they behind Penn State and Texas? Why? What's the difference there? Because Texas and Penn State, zero ranked wins. Lost to Georgia, lost to Ohio State. Good losses, yes. Tennessee, lost to Arkansas. I'll concede that. Bad loss. It's still a middle of the road SEC team. Yeah, Ole Miss hammered them. Other teams beat them. I get it. Bad game from Tennessee. Went into Arkansas at night and got beat. Offense, awful. Defense, eh. Still didn't give up 20 points. But if Tennessee has a ranked win over a top 10 team, why is their loss more important to the playoff committee than a team that doesn't have a top tier win? Alabama is a top tier win. We saw what they did at Death Valley. They beat the dog out of LSU, belt to ass all night long. They made it look a little better at the end, but there wasn't anybody in the stadium to even watch it because it was that bad of a drumming. Tennessee beat that team. Texas beat Vandy by 3. Penn State, you could argue their best win is Illinois. Your other option, an overtime win against USC. Ugh. But oh, they lost to a good team. Penn State was in the dogfight with Bowling Green. Bowling Green. The fact that this Michigan win is carrying so much weight for 2 top 5 teams, if you're telling me that is not because the athletic director of Michigan is on the committee, I won't believe you. That no, there's no influence. It's bullshit. Oregon, Ohio State, fine. Put them at number 1 and 2. I'm good with it. Number 3 through 7, makes no sense. The methodology to make those picks makes no sense. Notre Dame 8. uh, You've got a couple decent wins. You beat Louisville. You beat a ranked Navy team at the time. Shame on you for running up the score on a service academy, but you're going to independent your way into this playoff. We all know it. I don't think anybody besides Notre Dame fans love it, but it is what it is. Their record's going to be good enough to get in, unless they slip up to one of the remaining opponents, which is, excuse me, Virginia, Army, or USC. They probably won't, unless the old Black Knights of Army go in there and shock the world. Which, if they do, why aren't they in over Boise State? I know Genty's fantastic, but they just had to really struggle to beat Nevada. Nevada's like 3-8. I don't get it. I don't get it. And you want to say win in a good fashion, eye test. You have to win by a certain amount of points to make the win look good enough. It's not gambling. Is the committee betting the spread? And that's why they're pissed? I digress. Notre Dame, fine. They're in. We all know they're in. They're going to Notre Dame their way in the playoff, probably get smacked again like they always do in the postseason. Miami at 9. Anybody watch Georgia Tech game, or they just check the stats? I watched it. Georgia Tech ran that ball down Miami's throat all night long. All night long. And they ran it with the same play. They could have gone up to the line, had the quarterback call an audible, go, "We're running an end around. Jet sweep, jet sweep." And Miami still couldn't have stopped it. They couldn't. Their defense is terrible. It's bad. You can't get stops. You've proven that time and time again this season. You've been skating by the skin of your teeth, and it finally caught up with you. And you dropped from, I think, 4 to 9. I don't know. I don't know about that one. For me, what's the assurance that Miami's going to win the ACC anyway? I don't know. Another point. Number 10, 11, 12, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia. You got to put Ole Miss and Bama ahead of Georgia. You do. They both beat them. But to have them all three behind them, Miami? I don't know. I don't think Miami's all that good, but until they get a second loss, you can't really drop them much further. So I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. But to have Georgia out of the playoff after their schedule is kind of ridiculous. Kind of ridiculous. Boise State's the group of 5. They're in at 13. And SMU is at 14. If the college football playoff committee did this by a standard of head to head, strength of schedule, quality wins, quality losses, like I would think you should, as a unbiased ranking committee, here's how I would do it. Here's how I'd do it. Oregon 1, Ohio State 2. They've got a top according to them, 5-win, and their only loss is to number one team in the country by 1 point. Number two. Number three, BYU. They have ranked wins. They're undefeated. Probably going to be a conference champion. Unless Colorado sneaks in, which could happen, but that's a number three. They're undefeated. Number four, Indiana. They're undefeated. They have a terrible strength of schedule, but for what it's worth, they're undefeated. Undefeated. Got to reward that. Bad as they are, they've beaten everybody they're supposed to. But if you're going to say, well, and they've beaten everybody terribly, Michigan ain't a good team. You beat them by 5. But for now, number 4, because you're undefeated. Number 5, Tennessee. Tennessee has a quality win, 1 loss, and they're leading the SEC right now. They're the number 1 team in the SEC. This isn't projections. This is right now. Tennessee 5. Texas 6. I think an SEC slate is much harder than the Big Ten slate. You've had an okay schedule. You got beat by the good team that came to your place when they were number 5, something like that. That's where you're at. Penn State 7. They're in a similar spot as Texas. They're the Texas of the Big Ten right now. You beat who you're supposed to. The one team that came in that you thought might be on level with them or better, they beat you. They beat you. Also, is James Franklin ever going to win a big game? Ever? Ever? No, he won't. 8, Alabama. They've got quality wins over Georgia, South Carolina, LSU. Big time wins, 2 losses. Vandy and Tennessee. Like I said, Vandy's not that bad this year. It's still Vandy. They're not that bad. Ole Miss. Number 9, you have the win over Georgia. You drummed Arkansas, who has shown that they can beat a top 4 team? Good on you. Kiffin's really got a hell of a defense down there. Lane Kiffin with a defense, scary. Georgia, number 10. 2 top 10 losses. They've been on the road for what feels like forever, picked up a win against Texas. You've been winning games that your quarterback is doing everything he can to give away, but you're winning. You got a chance this weekend, which we'll talk about a little later. 11, SMU. That's right, SMU. Give them their respect. Give it to them. They're undefeated in conference. Their only loss is to number 6 BYU right now. They're doing everything right. They beat Louisville too. I don't know why Miami's ahead of them. Because it's Miami and, Cam Ward. So, rank it fairly. 12, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, you have a win against Louisville as well. Damn, everybody beat up on Louisville. It's like everybody's, here's who I beat, Louisville. Jeff Brom, fantastic coach. That Louisville team's not elite right now. They're not. Notre Dame. Who else did you beat? You beat Texas A&M. Good on you. But it was the first game of the year. You're going to say, well, it's first game of the year. That has to count. Is that what you want? Because if that has to count, then everybody's saying it was a complete anomaly that Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois, a bottom-of-the-pack MAC team that lost to Buffalo, Ball State, and NC State as bad as they are this year. They still found a way to beat them. Notre Dame lost to a bottom-tier MAC team at home. At home. They had the best showing of the year against you. You let it, they didn't just, they beat you. It wasn't a fluke. They beat you. I can't reward that. So you're my first team out because number 13, salute to the troops, Army, undefeated. Undefeated. Why is Boise State so far ahead of Army when Army hasn't lost? Boise State, sure, you played the number one team in the country good. You did, but you lost. Army hasn't. Army's an undefeated group of five team. They should be in that conversation. They should not be way ass in the back at 24. Now, here's the thing. We're going to get it proven to us. Army and Notre Dame are going to square off in what should be a decent game, unless it goes like the Navy game, which I don't think it will because I think Army's better than Navy. That's what I got for my top 13. You can argue with that if you like, and I am open to criticism. And that sounds kind of like how the BCS would do it. Because whatever they've got going on now, whatever criteria they're using, doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. There's no consistency. There's no use of identifiable criteria to rank these teams where they're ranked, besides brand bias. It's glaring. It really is glaring. And I'm a little fired up. Yes, I am. But it's strange. It's very strange to have the playoff committee rank these teams the way they did. Very strange. But that's enough of that. Let's slide into. Oh, man, I got me so worked up, I forgot where I'm going. Georgia Tennessee play this weekend. Huge game. Huge game. Because with the way that the College Football Playoff Committee has ranked these teams, this is a must win for both. 2 weeks ago, Tennessee's rolling in with just a loss to Arkansas, a win over Alabama. Everybody says Tennessee can lose this game and still get in. Not anymore. Not anymore. If you're going to rank them at 7, what you're telling me is Tennessee has to win because if they go 10-2, somehow you're going to leave them out over Alabama. Mark it. Mark it. Does head-to-head win not matter? Does it not matter? Does strength of schedule not matter? Why don't everybody just schedule a cupcake schedule like Penn State? What's the point in playing hard games if you're just going to get punished for it? You don't get rewarded anymore for scheduling hard teams. Play cupcakes all year. Waltz your way in there. Throw in one hard game to make yourself look a little better that you are still better than that team. If Notre Dame can lose to Northern Illinois at home and get in here with no incredible win besides week 1 A&M, yeah, what's the point? What's the point of scheduling tough teams? Tennessee, Georgia. Georgia's a huge favorite. Big question, obviously, Nico Iamaleava having a whole lot of whirlwind of speculation on whether he's going to play or not. Whether he plays or not is going to be a huge factor. I don't disagree, but I would not say that Tennessee is completely out of it if Nico doesn't play. Do I think it becomes much harder to win there? Yes, it does. Gaston Moore, while he's experienced in this system, older guy, he doesn't have the starting experience. He doesn't have a single start. Not one. But he's been in the Heupel's offense forever. And He ain't afraid to throw the deep ball at all. He lets that thing fly every time he gets a chance. Um, but the strength of a Tennessee team is your defense and your run game. So if you don't have your quarterback, it does make it much more difficult because he can't get you out of there with some key throws that he has been progressively better at since the Alabama game. The kid's still young, really young. He's maybe 20. He's developing. You can see it every week. He's getting better and better. Now he's got hurt. There's all kinds of reports going around. We got about 2 hours until the official report comes out to see what's going on. He probably got a concussion. It's probably questionable. When you get a concussion, you have to really you got to take care of your player. You can't rush him out there before it's too soon, or you risk a serious head injury. And head injuries are no joke. No joke at all. But with the way Georgia's been playing, with the way Tennessee's been winning games, you don't necessarily have to have Nico. You can scheme it up with Gaston and maybe go down there and win. Maybe. I don't think it's likely, even if Nico plays. I think Georgia's got this one. You've got a Kirby Smart led team, one of the, screw the one up, the best coach in college football right now. Best coach in college football. Argue with the wall. He's motivating his team, whose backs are against the wall, who just got their butt handed to them in Ole Miss, blown off the line of scrimmage on the offensive side of the ball. Quarterback been struggling. Finally didn't have a bad game, but that's because he was on his back most of the game. Your run game is struggling. You've been on the road for weeks. You've got what sounds like a blackout game at home. You finally go home. You're going to have Athens rocking. Rocking. It always is. But you haven't been home in 35 days. Your fans are itching to go to a game, itching to go root for their team. And you've got a top 10 team coming in that if you beat, you can get into the playoff. Kirby Smart's one of the best motivators in college football. Their defense has flown under the radar because people are saying, oh, it's not the same Georgia defense. It's still a very, very, very good defense. It didn't show against Alabama because Alabama had the best game they've played all season outside of maybe LSU. Best half for sure. But other than that, they've been very, very good. They gave up 28 points against Ole Miss. Yeah, sure, they did. The amount of times they held Ole Miss to a field goal against that quality of an offense that Lane Kiffin runs, that's a fantastic game by them. Really good. Georgia's defense, their defensive line with Michael Williams, the guys on that line with him, Malachi Starks in the backfield. They've got fantastic linebackers. Dan Jackson, he's been really good. Their whole defense is elite. Got really good play. Their biggest deficit is their offensive line. Their left tackle got exposed all night long at Ole Miss. Their left guard, right tackle, everybody got beat at the point of attack and beat badly. You think they're not going to come out and want to prove that they're not sissies? That they just, it was we're tired, we're on the road. Now I'm back home. I'm ready to show you. That's what I think is going to happen. But Tennessee's defensive line, their defensive backs, their linebackers are all incredibly talented as well. This is going to be a defensive slugfest. If you like defense, quality high quality defense, this is the one to watch. It's the one to watch. Georgia's an inside zone style team, and the way you beat inside zone is you run stunts. As a defensive line, you run stunts, you confuse them, you make it so they don't have enough time to react in pass protection, and you get through. You saw it against Ole Miss. Ole Miss loves to stunt. They've got big, fast, strong defensive linemen that can all move and scheme up well. They ran their stunts perfectly. Their linebackers did an amazing job all night long, and they held Georgia to nothing. Nothing. 7 points that they got off an interception. They were already in the red zone. Took them till fourth down to score while they're almost to the goal line. That was an unbelievable Ole Miss performance. That's what Georgia has done to teams for years. If you think Coach Smart down there in Athens is going to let that happen 2 weeks in a row, there's no chance. This is going to be a fight. I think Georgia probably wins it. I'd say 23, 23-13, maybe 23-20. I'll say 23-20, 23-20. I'd bet the under if I was a betting man, and I would be monitoring Nico's status. If he's good to go, oh, I'd take Tennessee to cover the spread. Maybe not money line, cover the spread. Yeah. We're gonna have to see what the committee does next week after some of these games play out. I'm excited to see what's going on. Um, I wish there was some more clarity. I wish there was less of a veil of uncertainty and confusion for fans. And hopefully that probably will continue for this year. Maybe we can get it fixed for next year, but I doubt it. And if you are a team that they're putting on kind of the fringe, you better get ready in case they break your heart, which they may. They may. That's about all I got for you right now. Thank you all for tuning in. I apologize for myself getting as animated as I did. However, this is College Football Network. I know y'all are upset too, unless you're Texas and Penn State fans. Which if you're here, I'm sorry. I probably didn't make you very happy tonight. And you probably already clicked off. But if you're still here, good on you. You got thick skin because I gave your team a little bit of a ribbon. I was so happy to be able to come talk with you this week. I'll probably have some more videos coming out tomorrow and later this week. Gonna try and get back into getting y'all at least 2 or 3 a week. Super excited to be able to continue running this channel with y'all. I'm going to put some links on either side of me. One will be to another video of mine. Another one will be to subscribe to this channel. If you have not subscribed and you want to hear me be ridiculous, I'd appreciate it. I'd really appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button for me. If you want to give me a thumbs up just to let me know you like what I did. I guess thumbs down if you didn't. But subscribe for me, and I will do my best to be back with you very shortly. Thanks for tuning in.